So I'm back with this week's book review, and the book I read last week was this one. It's Eclipse. It's the third book from the Twilight Saga by Stephanie Meyer, and this book, this is the first time I've actually made notes on a book, like color coded it based on the characters. So the orange is for Jacob, the pink is for Bella, and the blue is for Edward. And it's really interesting because you can see like not a lot of notes, but like it's quite a in depth. It's very mature. This book I think is the first step of like maturity, like where they move on from a high school kids to them coming into young adulthood. And there's a lot of concepts in this book which I don't agree with. But just to start off, I think Bella is finally like dealing with herself and her emotions in this book. She's kind of understanding where her life is headed, and she understands the gravity of the decision she's taken to become an immortal. And you've got Edward, who's kind of trying to come to terms with the fact that he is now like Bella is in his life for good. How is he going to protect her after everything that's happened in New Moon? He's got to like deal with Jacob always like annoying him and being on the verge of taking his relationship. But it's also like them dealing with this external influence. You've got new vampires, you've got complex family dynamics happening. And in the middle of all of this turmoil, you have Jacob that refuses to take no for an answer. I think Jacob was my least favorite character in this book because he was so annoying. He's constantly making jokes, constantly making remarks. He's annoying Bella, and obviously she doesn't understand what's happening. I think her frontal lobe is still yet to develop, so she doesn't understand what he's doing is gaslighting and coercion and forceful behavior. And especially like that one incident where he kisses her without her permission, that was harassment at its finest. And he kind of just brushed it off like, that would have been that, like, what is that? That shouldn't have been our first kiss. You should not have kissed her without permission anyway. Even the second time that he kissed her on the mountain or whatever, he still coerced her. It was a lie. He made sure that she felt so shit. He manipulated her emotions to get what he wants. And I didn't like, I obviously watched it in the movies, but when you read it in the books, it's so much more different because it's throughout the book, there's just so much manipulation leading up to it. So I was definitely not a fan of Jacob, and I'm not going to be a fan of Jacob for the rest of the series because I still have Breaking Dawn to finish anyway. But I thought that was really poor on Jacob's part. So no Team Jacob. Edward, on the other hand, I thought, despite having very hypocritical behavior of him trying to convince Bella that the werewolves are unpredictable and they're dangerous, when he literally had to leave her in the last book because his adopted brother tried to kill Bella for a drop of blood. So I don't know who he's trying to fool here, but it's not me. Also, I think because he's calming down into his role as Bella's full-time boyfriend, he's becoming more patient with her. He's becoming a lot more mature with her, and I think that's really grounding because he has that ability to be like, you know what, this is probably not what's best for Bella, this is probably what's best for Bella. I'm not able to control her 24/7. Allows her to make her own mistakes and her own decisions, and he just kind of watches her do it. He doesn't interfere too much. He does, like the very first part where he takes out the something from the truck, and she's like, did you do this to my truck? That was a little intense. Like, you don't need to be doing all these kinds of things. You have to pay for those, It's easy when you have the money of 100 years old kind of wealth, but obviously some of us don't have that. But overall, I don't enjoy the Eclipse I don't like the Eclipse movie. That's probably my least favorite movie, but I did kind of enjoy the Eclipse books. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my review for Eclipse. I think I give it about a 6.5 out of 10 because character development was really great. You brought in the lives of Rosalie, you brought in Jasper, and you still realize Jasper's kind of psychotic. So there's that. You bring in her her friends as well. You finally we get an introduction to a little more insight into Angela and the relationship that she has, and then the friendships that Bella has in her life, and all of those kinds of things are really bringing together the last year of high school for them. So that was really great. And this is probably the first time that she's been sane. Like Bella hasn't been insane, and she hasn't been in too much of danger. I mean, obviously, ignoring the vampires that are coming after her, but this is the first time that she's been grounded and not making irrational decisions. So, really great. So that is my review for this week, and obviously I've made my TBR, and it includes a few more books, but the one that I'm currently reading, and has been my priority for this week, is this one. It is the 6th installment of the Seven Sisters series, and it is called The Sun Sister by Lucinda Riley, and it's based on the sixth sister, Electra, and she's very different. I started reading, I'm on a page 135, and she's so different from the rest of the sisters. The other sisters obviously have their priorities in their work, but they're also a little more, I want to say, wholesome, and I'm not judging, definitely not judging. They're a lot more grounded to their roots. They have an awareness about them. They're a little more less addicted to substance abuse, is what I'm going to say, because Electra is, with her lifestyle, she's developed a few habits that probably aren't the best, and I think as we get on with the book, we understand why this has come about. I think there's a lot of generational trauma that we're going to be digging up in here, because we're kind of just I'm just getting into one of her ancestors, and I don't know how she relates, but I do know once this person moves on with her life, we're going to understand what Electra's roots are. She's the kind of sister that feels left behind because she's the youngest. She looks different from them completely, and I think there's a lot of identity issues that she's come about, but she's very beautiful. She lives a very high profile life, and I think achieving all of that at such a young age was what really brought her to that kind of level where she had no one to rely. She felt like she had no one to rely on. She was a very closed book, and she's making very poor decisions, but she's completely different from the rest of her sisters, which is really interesting because Lucinda Riley's sisters so far, they all had very similar characteristics. They had a warmth about them that they didn't that they got from the family. But Electra's very cold. She's very distant. She's a firecracker, and I'm excited to see how the story develops, how her character develops over time. And this is a big book. This is because I'm pretty sure this is going to bring in the whole mystery of what we left off from the last book, which was the basement of Parcel's house. So we've got that to explore. We've got the Z case to explore. We've got Electra's background. We've got her ancestors' background. A lot of things to explore in this book, which is going to tie up a lot of loose ends. Very excited to finish, find my way through this book. So that's that. Then we've got my other TBR, and I've had this book on my shelf for a really long time, and I just haven't been bothered because I've been getting new books and stuff like that. But this is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, and I am obviously a really massive fan of Kristen Hanna because her writing has never failed to bring me to tears, which I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't want to keep crying. But this is supposed to be it's out on Netflix as well as a series, and I don't want to start the series without reading the book first. So we're going to I'm gonna see how it develops, because it's about friendship, it's about sisterhood and changes that are happening as well. So really excited. Yeah, really excited, because the characters, I've watched these characters, like the show, you've got this one, I'm pretty sure that's Katherine Heigl from Grey's Anatomy. You've got this one from Scrubs, and you've also got this one. I was like, no, they're all just Katherine Heigl. I thought the other one was Callie from Grey's Anatomy as well, but it's not. On top of these two, I've also got two more. One of them is All About You. No, Me Before You by Jojo something, and I'm going to figure it out. It's the movie with Emilia Clarke in it. It's the Me Before You, so I want to read that one as well. I didn't realize it when I was choosing it from the my TBR. I don't have it yet. It'll be in my book haul. And there's one more. I think it's called 1,000 Suns. I'll have to look upon that. Maybe I'll make another video on that. Yeah. I'll come back with another TBR. That's it. This is a long video anyway. So these are all my books for this week. Finished Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer. Started on The Sun Sister by Lucinda Riley, and I'm just gonna keep making my way through. I've got a bit of a busy December coming up, and I'm really excited because it's the holiday season, which means I won't be reading much. From December 11th to December 15th, I won't be reading, so I take a bit of a break, but really excited to share some of the books that I want to get. This one I want to add in probably to my next one. I'll add it to my next video. Anyway, that's it. That's the video. I'm done. Bye.